WCGF, you filthy monkeys! Lord Frieza commands it!
World Card Game Federation here with the second to last match of Swiss. We're going to have Chris versus Seth in a rather exciting match. I think this one was a very anticipated match, but we do have a few things to discuss. We're going to be seeing a rather unusual matchup. I want it to be clear there is going to be an issue in this particular match. I will draw attention to it when it pops up, so no need to over address this. Chris is going to go ahead and draw a rather unlikely hand. Remember that that this particular deck almost never, because of the poor RNG that is associated with Octagon, will cluster certain cards together for no good reason. And one of those is allies, especially in a deck with few allies. They'll find them next to each other in a stupendous rate. Chris is going to go ahead and put out Bobbity. He's going to pass. He's going to rejuvenate Blue Clash. He's going to go over to Seth for the for his first turn. He's going to do some good stuff here. He's got a fantastic hand. Yeah, remember that time here is going to, like we said, get perforated by good old focus attacks, but Chris doesn't use any. He mostly focuses on making them unstoppable instead. So I could see Seth being uneasy about that one, but I might have actually been okay to just toss that in and go with it and go with 4 shots of double strike with a timeout. It might not have been that bad. It goes over to Chris, gets out another incredibly early game amazing card, is the Overwhelming Power Drill. I believe that's the name of it. But that particular drill, like we said, every time attack is stopped, is going to raise the anger. And remember, that's yet another card that he never sees early game. And if he does, usually it comes out in damage. Okay, so Seth draws a pretty promising hand. Here's the catch. It's pretty darn defensive. Not that defensive is bad, it's just that he's got the 2, well, what amounts to 3 blocks and an attack. One could be converted. You know how this goes. All right, he is not going to be confident enough. I understand. He's going to pass. He's going to go over to Chris. Chris is going to get his third early game devastating combo. Very difficult to overcome move. He's going to get out Boo's Absorbing Drill so that he's going to have even more ways to stop attacks and make things very, very difficult. It's going to go back over to Seth. Overpowering drill, yeah. So he's going to go ahead and draw into this one. It's a similarly defensive turtley hand, which is fine in a deck like Seth. It's hard to imagine not attacking and doing things actively. Yeah, the first style attack, so you have to be really mindful what you throw first, because it will come back to you and be unstoppable. So you basically would have to throw a very small physical as your opening move. Trunks Bash is not a bad card for that reason. Or a chop, red chop is not a bad choice. Okay, so he is going to go ahead and mastery. Now, Chris points out for Seth, and come on, do this for your opponents. Be a good sport. Don't be the if they don't notice, I don't notice kind of player. That's just lame. But yeah, this particular name card counts as styled, so he gains the effect of the banish, or rather the skip on the banish. He's going to go ahead and banish or destroy Boo's Absorbing Drill for Trunks Bash. It's going to get stopped. Now, I believe... There we go. He's going to go ahead and target and banish a card. You technically have to name it, but you can name it while you're looking, since the discard pile is going to be public knowledge. So Seth does 2 anger. And then Chris is going to throw a clash. And I believe, there we go. Now, do remember that red brace raises anger, lowers anger. Okay, good. I want to make sure that that got counted during the course of this one. Big fan of triggers. He's going to go ahead and throw a red chop, and he's going to go ahead and level He's going to hit level 2. It's not a bad thing at all. It's a very tiny attack. It's going to get stopped by the Swift block, which Chris can go ahead and reveal a card. Oh, okay, so he is going to go ahead and copy it. Throw with the mastery, reveal instead of banishing or discarding a card from his hand. You know all the things. Gain enough anger to build a level. Yeah, it becomes unstoppable, but it's just a little tiny physical. I guess that was going to be a pretty good idea to go with. Now Seth has to be careful from here. Not that necessarily he has to worry about level 2 Boo, but that he only has the one card left and basically a physical block on his level 2 Trunks. He's going to throw a 5-life physical, no anger gain. That's his Super Boo Looming Threat is going to go off that way. Fantastic. He is going to go ahead and stop it with his level 2 power. Nothing happens. Bobbity's out there. He's going to go ahead and use his stages on himself since these stages can be placed anywhere. He's going to raise his anger 1. Okay, I think they're both going to pass. Seth's going to passively gain anger there. Fantastic. Goes over to Chris. Let's see what other early game goodies. Looks like Chris is packing 2 head knocks. That's unfortunate for Seth. He's going to pass, rejuvenate one of those said head knocks. Discard the rest. It's going to go back over to Seth. Seth gets some fine looking stuff in his hand. Yeah, there's no reason not to go in, but because I've seen this match once before, he's going to declare combat. If I was Seth, I would open with the Mastery, because there's no reason not to try. Yeah, but use the Mastery, though, and only throw a stage physical. That is the best plan. You already know Trunks Bash is best. Okay, Trunk Bash is going to go ahead and destroy or banish. I guess it should have been banished before, and one of them just didn't notice. Okay, he's going to respond with a stare down. Now, this does leave Chris with only 2 cards in his hands, but he still has multiple actions on the field, including the ability to mill into drawing a card with anything he copies. So, real fun stuff. Now, given that hand, yeah, I probably would have went with that too.
Energy attack coming in for 6 life through 2 stages.
Trunks Knee Bash, banished. Yeah, so Absorbing Drill would have been banished. It would have been recoverable, though, when he hit level 2. So nothing, thank God, has ruined. Nothing's been ruined. Oh, my gosh. Seth amped his anger all the way up to 3, threw a doggone head knock. And we said our problem here is that if he tries to stop the head knock, oh, I gotcha. With time, don't tell me Chris's last card is a sphere, because it sounds like it would be. Very nice. Okay, so time gets used. Seth's anger goes to 0, but at least he's not taking damage. Chris is going to go ahead and use Bobbity. And then Seth's going to go ahead and pass. Now, we're about to hit that thing we talked about. Seth's going to use the Mastery Banisher style card, raise his anger. It's going to force a skip. It's going to go back to Seth. Seth has no more actions. He has to pass. It goes back over to Chris. Chris is going to make an illegal move. Like I said, I was aware that this was a part of the match. I did have a chance to do a little pre-screening. And this particular mistake, like I said, ends up being... I wouldn't blame Chris. Chris trained lots and lots of fighters for this particular tournament, built this deck, and did not use it to its full extent during our training periods. So, targeting things this way only required a moment of proofreading, simply didn't do it during the course of the tournament. So, this particular use of the beam cannon is illegal because it targets he targeted the life deck when the card itself does not target it. It does banish or discard, obviously. So I was going to say that as long as this particular move never influences the game, we're not going to worry about it. It's an illegal move. It would have required a warning because, remember, it's the responsibility of both players to know what triggers being missed. Chris is going to not go in on said combat following that one. He's going to pass. He's going to rejuvenate a blue arrest. He's going to go back over to Seth. Seth's going to go ahead and draw into 3 cards, which would have been really good cards in lots of other circumstances. Though he does carry a focused physical, which might not be the most important thing in the world. He's going to pass, rejuvenate the red energy attack that doubles as a physical block. He's going to go back over to Chris. No, the longer you let Chris live, the more likely he is to draw into things that he could use.
Okay, setting is different than gaining.
Now, it looks like Chris got some good stuff. He is going to pass, rejuvenate, a stare down. He's going to leave the overpowering drill in the discard pile because that card can always be targeted with shuffle with the mastery in the future. It's going to go back over to Seth. Seth has a good hand of cards. He got some offensive actions. Now, I'm not a giant fan of the D-level card. It's not my favorite one of the D-level block, but it can be super helpful because you can drop down, hit Trunks level 1, double up on some anger, and find a way to boost past it from 1 all the way to 3 at the end of combat. Not a bad idea. Okay, he's going to throw out Precise Strike, I believe it's called. It is going to get stopped by Chris. Chris is going to gain anger on that one from the mastery and the block. Because of that, he is going to go ahead and level. Chris is actually managing to stay ahead of him. Now, dismissal, of course, lets Chris name a card and banish from the discard. He's going to go ahead and do that. He banishes time. Not really much of a loss for Seth. Seth is not likely to recur time in any scenario. Though, if Seth was doing this, like I said, if I was playing Seth's hand, I would have masteried into Heroic Dashing Punch. At the very least, got a little closer. Oh, except for this. He's going to use the ability to target and banish an attack card from a discard pile to go ahead and throw Head Knock, lowering... Yep. Yep, it becomes unstoppable. Seth's going to do the right move here. He is still going to throw this block in front of it, which for the most part is, in theory, it should be the biggest thing that Chris throws, but it isn't. He's going to go ahead and drop all the way down to 0. Yeah, unfortunately, because it's unstoppable and with no endurance, he's going to take the full 5. Yeah, so not the same thing. No prevention, no endurance. It's just that functionally they're very similar. They just aren't always, so that's why you got to split the hairs on that one. Good. Now, I could have swore that Seth already used the mastery. Okay, now Chris had the opportunity to use the instant on that one to be able to mill 2 to draw 1. Looks like that was pretty darn profitable for him. Seth, there we go. See, that was the move I would have done altogether. He's going to he's going to force a skip by banishing a red style card. And then he's going to go ahead and throw Heroic Dashing Punch. It's going to get him up to 4 anger because of the doubling anger effect. It only catches Seth's out of action cards. So he's going to take the hit, looks like on Bobbity, wicking off the stages and making sure that Majin Buu holds on to his. Okay, he goes back over to Chris. He's going to throw a blue static shot, which is a crucial, dangerous card. But here's the kicker. There's no way Seth could know that he was packing a blue neck beam as the other card, that you couldn't know that this card that would have ruined his chances of being able to level would have been not the one to stop overall. Which is just the worst. And then it looks like, yeah, Chris is going to go ahead and now shoot off the neck beam. And it's only going to be 4 life. And I think Seth here, if I remember this particular part correctly, ends up taking 4 life. Because I think he forgot that not everything was a copy. So Seth did take a necessary damage. And, oh no, I'm wrong. I actually shut my mouth. The Static Blast would have turned off Endurance. Seth remembered, I didn't. I would have been that player. Looks like Chris is going to go ahead. And then it goes back to Chris. Well, remember, depending on who entered, we would need to go ahead and figure out. It would actually come down to whose effects belong to who.
Well, one way you end up with 5 stages.
We would, if we have multiple, yeah, so he's going to go ahead and stay on level 2, have 10 stages, though I'm not entirely sure we followed that correctly. He's going to put out a drill card that normally never gets to come out and play, almost always falls in via damage. And then he's going to go ahead and pass, rejuvenate a Swift block, which is definitely a good idea. And it's Seth's move, though I would like it if Chris was to move the turn counter over. That would be preferable. Now, Seth threw into some good cards, but we talked about this one. With the ability to generate attack cards into copied effects and making them unstoppable and with no endurance, you'd want to keep the Blazing Aura because modification is not prevention. Okay, now Chris does have an entering with a recuperating drill, but it's a you may, so if he misses, he misses it. He is going to open up using an unstoppable and no endurance energy with neck beam. So Seth's going to take this hit regardless, but it is not necessarily a bad thing because at max it can only do 4, so it can't crit him or anything of that nature. Okay, Blazing Aura, fantastic card, and it's feared. Fantastic. And then Seth should be milling one from that one, but I don't think he catches it. But that's fine. Wow, blue static blast. Now remember this one because its own effect affects itself. It becomes a 5 life card energy, and hit lowers 2, so it's basically a 3 anger reduction. Just top tier for anger aggression. Okay, and he's going to take that hit. All 5 of it, he's going to get crit. So the lowering effect doesn't matter. Now, Seth doesn't have a ton of options on him, but he's going to throw this particular physical, pay the stages, raise the anger, be 5 altogether. Don't know if Chris is going to run into the endurance, because that's sort of the late game problem with this particular deck, is that eventually you've burned all the endurance. Okay, it's going to crit, going to kill Bobbity. Not a bad choice. Chris's anger was not in a dangerous position. Okay, that goes back over. Since that was a crit, he gained 2 stages in the Red Ascension Mastery. Not bad at all. He's going to go ahead and throw said attack back at him. He's going to reveal because of level 3's power set a discard. He's going to pay the 2 power stages to go ahead and raise his anger 1 with the immediate effect. It's going to be 5 life, no endurance. Yeah, that Red Blazing Aura really would have been the best card ever for this particular combat. Seth unfortunately got crit again, which is just plain awful. Chris knows that Seth has plenty of blocks. And then remember, at the end of combat, Seth, you would gain 2 anger. End of combat is still combat, and you would have gained 2 anger. You should have 2 anger right now. Oh, so there's been some misplays, some not fun things. Now, this is that other one we talked about, how one illegal move begets another illegal move. So Chris shouldn't have Booze Candy out right now because it was an illegal target. It was possible it could have come out in some other way at some other time, but not likely. He might have drawn into it, might not. Seth's going to go ahead and declare combat. And then I think Chris keeps forgetting about recuperating drills when entering. Now, Seth over here... Sorry, I should say rather, he's going to Booze Candy the Red Destiny, which would have been 4 anger all at once. And like I said, it's not cool. It's going to go ahead and banish the top card of his life deck. He's going to respond with Ascension. He's going to raise anger 2 because of the doubling effect on his level 1. Skips a Blazing Aura, and Chris had that other sphere from before. I didn't know if he drew into it or if he had... Oh boy. And he's going to go ahead and copy with his level 3 and fire off an unstoppable, unpreventable 4 life card energy attack, which is just incredible. And remember, the hit effect is rejuve the number of life card total that this attack did. So it's going to be a total of 4. And since Chris did level off of that anger, he is going to get the when you reach this level effect, and that's how he got Boo's absorbing drill back. Because remember, level 2 and level 4 have that same search for his name set up a drill effect. Okay, Seth's going to go ahead and resolve Pulverize, which would have been absolutely awesome a couple of games ago. Or I should say, rather, several combats ago, to be able to reduce Chris's ability to target and send these things back at him. Okay, so this would be somewhat dangerous. It may not be very large stage damage, but eventually it would be enough to push him into the stage lock territory. So it's really impressive.
Final Flash being a 3 anger card. That's pretty good. Possibly the scariest.
You don't have any razor fingers. Yeah, we took them out.
Okay, now at this point, Chris is going to be looking through the discard pile. I'm not sure if he's looking just for the sake of having that knowledge. Oh, because he's throwing Pulverize back at him. Shut my mouth. He had to use Absorbing Drill, and he can do so for free and then be able to reveal a card and to draw a card. So it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Combine the two. Wow. He's going to go ahead and target and banish Blue Arrest, a physical. And I believe that's going to make that one... You should have both of them in there. Oh, he got rejuvenated on that prior attack. That's right. So it's not very much. He is going to go ahead and attempt to stop it with this particular physical. Unless... No? Yeah, and that's unfortunate because, like I said, that one illegal move begets another illegal move so that there would just be no way to do what we just saw. It's not a thing. So it's a little terrible, but it did happen. And like I said, had I been there, I might have been able to intervene and try to recreate the game state. Okay, that's going to pass, and he's going to go ahead and throw a giant energy attack. Not necessarily giant. It's going to go ahead and raise his anger too, and then I don't think... neither Seth nor Chris noticed that Chris was supposed to lower his anger once, so he's at 3 anger when he really shouldn't be. And he's going to go ahead and hit him with the 4 life neck beam, keeping him stuck on this level. Seth passes. It's going to go back over to Chris. And I think Chris is going to use this one correctly, but not necessarily have now the targeting makes all the sense. And I think that Seth doesn't have the life cards to weather this, even with some endurance, and he does not. Seth is going to go ahead and lose this one. I don't think it would have made a giant difference because, like I said, Seth would have definitely reached level 3, maybe even level 4, but I can't sit here and tell you it would have won the game.